As usual, this is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Let's community. So it turns out there are times when insomnia and migraines come in handy. Caught wind that the Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's report has been released. I'm going to read some excerpts from an article by The Hill, and I'm going to go over the whole report on YouTube and also on Fanbase. So, according to an article from The Hill by Rebecca Beich, I may be messing up her name, and Zach Schoenfeld, dated 14 January 2025 at 01:19 a.m., Special Counsel Jack Smith defended his investigations into President-elect Trump in a final report released publicly early Tuesday morning, saying his determinations were free from political interference and that, if permitted to proceed, his cases would have likely secured a conviction. Smith made the claims both in a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland and in a much-awaited release of the election interference volume of his final report. In his letter to Garland, Smith broke his silence on over a year of attacks from Trump, who accused Smith of being at the helm of a politically motivated prosecution. The ultimate decision to bring charges against Mr. Trump was mine. It is a decision I stand behind fully, Smith wrote, adding that Garland nor anyone else at DOJ pushed him to prosecute Trump. To all who know me well, the claim from Mr. Trump that my decisions as a prosecutor were influenced or directed by the Biden administration or other political actors is, in a word, laughable. The release of the report comes after a swift court battle launched by Trump as he and his co-defendants in the Mar-a-Lago case sought to block both volumes of Smith's report from being shared with the public. By the way, Volume 1 is available, however, Volume 2 is not because it is still an ongoing case against his co-conspirators. Ultimately, U.S. District Court Judge Aileen Cannon cleared the way for the volume dealing with January 6 to be published. The public release does not include a second volume, Smith wrote, concerning the prosecution of Trump for his handling of classified documents. Garland has indicated he does not plan to release that section, given that the case remains pending as to Trump's former co-defendants. The report offers a first glimpse at Smith's inner thoughts on how he approached the case, as he has previously spoken publicly about the case only when he was appointed special counsel and each time Trump was charged. Smith, who resigned on Friday, details his decision to ask the court to dismiss charges against Trump after he won re-election, writing that he believed he would have scored a conviction against the president-elect in the high-stakes case. Indeed, but for Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency, the office assessed that the admissible evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial, Smith wrote. The bulk of the volume released Tuesday, some 174 pages, which I'm going to read on YouTube and Fanbase, deals with Smith's lengthy investigation into Trump's efforts to thwart the peaceful transfer of power. The through line of all of Mr. Trump's criminal efforts was deceit, knowingly false claims of election fraud, and the evidence shows that Mr. Trump used these lies as a weapon to defeat a federal government function foundational to the United States democratic process, Smith wrote. Until Mr. Trump obstructed it, this democratic process had operated in a peaceful and orderly manner for more than 130 years. By Smith's own admission, the report largely contains information made public in prior court filings. Trump's uncharged co-conspirators in the case, though easily identifiable, remain unnamed. It also does not reveal which members of Congress were coordinating with Trump allies on an effort, though one reference clearly refers to Representative Scott Perry, Republican Pennsylvania, noting that his conversations with Jeffrey Clark were in contravention of policies designed to protect the independence of the Justice Department. Trump planned to install Clark as acting attorney general to forward an investigation into his baseless claims of election fraud. The special counsel described prosecuting Trump during his presidential campaign as an unprecedented challenge, detailing at length the former president's efforts to command strong loyalty from potential witnesses and attack prosecutors. The office had no interest in affecting the presidential election, and it complied fully with the letter and spirit of the department's policy regarding election year sensitivities, Smith wrote. The report's release comes hours after the Justice Department published Special Counsel David Weiss's final report detailing his prosecutions of Hunter Biden, the president's son. Another letter included in the report details Smith's pushback as Trump was fighting the release of this report. Smith wrote that despite complaints over the unusual ability to see the report before it was shared, Trump's team only came to review the report 2 of the 4 days offered, calling his complaints about the arrangement disingenuous. Upon completing that review, Mr. Trump has not contested a single factual representation in the report, instead objecting only to its public release, Smith wrote. Mr. Trump's letter claims that dismissal of his criminal cases signifies Mr. Trump's complete exoneration. That is false. The department's view that the Constitution prohibits Mr. Trump's indictment and prosecution while he is in office is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, all of which the office stands fully behind. As you may know from the beginning of this feed and also from my last feed, migraine and insomnia are like neck and neck right here with me. They kind of feed into each other. But once this came across my attention, I doubled up on the meds, got my elderberry, got my water, and I said, okay, let's go down the rabbit hole. Reading through this report feels like it's an effective coping mechanism. Who knows? I might even be able to get some sleep afterwards, right? And the migraine might temper down a little bit. I'm hoping. The lights are low enough. Got my precautionary glasses on, and hopefully we'll be able to go through the whole report, however long it takes. Again, I'll be on the YouTube and fan base under the same username. I am Apex I am. And I'm grateful for the transparency. I'm grateful this report came out so we can at least, digest it and process it and stay aware, especially with this week and all of its unfolding activities and events and so forth. For me, this feels like an opportunity to cope, an opportunity to have a coping mechanism that sheds some insight into, events that we live through and circumstances that we are still in some ways, shape and form, still dealing with. Yeah. Anyway, if you're up to it, join me on the YouTube and on Fanbase. And I did join Red Note, but it's going to take me some time to navigate the app itself, especially being that it's not in English, and use Google Translate, which has Chinese Simplified and Chinese Traditional. And thank you to all the content providers over there who are actually helping us to navigate, who are fluent as well, but and are helping us navigate based on their own experiences on the app. And the CEO of Red Note actually posted welcoming us to his app as we have arrived in a large volume. I think the app might be number 1 now in the App Store. I'm not sure. It was number 3. Then it might have risen to number 1. Any case, more to come on that. For now, let's read through the report, digest and process it on the YouTube and on Fanbase. See you there. As above, so below. Stay blessed.